Well, my name is Nigel Helyer. I'm an artist, sculptor, sound artist, mainly based in Sydney, but I've had quite a long relationship with the Symbiotica Lab in Western Australia. And this piece is actually quite an old piece. It's a piece called Host that was the first project I ever made at Symbiotica. Essentially what we have is an audience of about 200 crickets, a host of crickets, and they're attending a lecture, a DVD lecture on the sex life of insects, which is pretty wild compared to human sex life, much more interesting. And the oscilloscope trace, which is one of the two DVD projections, was a result of basically miking up a cricket, putting electrodes into the aural center of a cricket, which is about here in the thorax. Crickets hear through their elbows, they've got hollow kind of front legs and kind of ears in their shoulders and a nerve center here. So we basically put very fine microelectrode into the cricket there and shorted it out somewhere else in the body. And basically that turns the cricket into a kind of biological microphone and recorded the trace of the cricket listening to the sex lecture. The projection of the lecture, what we see is a scientist, a kind of typical talking head, but the image is actually being pixelated into kind of blocks. It was a kind of an attempt to portray maybe the way an insect sees the world. I mean, they have compound eyes. No one really knows. I mean, people have been trying to find out, but no one really knows how they see. We have a lot more knowledge of how they hear. So I've sort of pixelated the image so to give this kind of blocky, blurry impression of vision. Part of the intention of the piece is to think about our tendency to anthropomorphize the world and see kind of imagine that everything inhabits our space and our worldview, where, of course, every creatures, it's a bit like the broadcast spectrum. The spectrum's divided up, and creatures inhabit different parts of that to communicate. So crickets are somewhere else off our range, basically. But yeah, the visuals were kind of a little clue to that idea of they see differently to us. But it's also a little tongue-in-cheek. The lecture on sex is quite dry, but it's also, if you actually listen to it, you can't go, wow, they really do things like that. And yeah, so it kind of, I think it's playful in that kind of way.